Newsfirst Shamir Rasuluddin spoke to Deputy Minister Dr. Harsha de Silva today to make further clarifications over the statement he made in Parliament yesterday on the Sri Lankan housemaid who is sentenced to be stoned to death in Saudi Arabia.
Your submission in Parliament yesterday, Dr. De Silva, what does it really mean?
Well, what it means is that after the appeal was lodged by the lawyers on behalf of the person concerned, to the what's called the Central Court has decided on that appeal.
Doctor, who would be appearing on behalf of the victim, the Sri Lankan national, during the appeal process?
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Saudi Arabian Embassy, Sri Lankan Embassy in Saudi Arabia, and the Ministry of Foreign Employment. We, the Foreign Ministry and the Embassy, got to know of this case, much later. Should have perhaps been informed by the concerned parties.
You said you all were informed by the concerned parties much later. Who are you referring to, Dr. De Silva? Is it the Saudi embassy officials or the Saudi government itself?
We were informed of this only much later in the year. And the moment we got to know, we got activated. There are hundreds of thousands of Sri Lankan people in Saudi Arabia. And the embassy is not physically able to keep track of every person, and you would agree with me on that.
Sri Lankans working overseas bring in the highest revenue in terms of the country's economy, in terms of the country's foreign exchange, Dr. De Silva. I am surprised when you're saying 100,000 Sri Lankans are working overseas and that your government cannot be held accountable for them.
We are not at all saying we are not accountable or we are not concerned about these men and women who are working there. What we are saying is within humanly possible scope, we keep a track of what's going on with our citizens overseas.
Reports clearly indicate, Dr. De Silva, that the woman in question was ill-advised. She had confessed to the murder. She had a second option as well, that is to ensure that she asked 3 witnesses, independent men, to come on board and testify before the court about the crime that was committed. Why was she ill-advised, and who advised her, Dr. De Silva?
A certain amount of advice is given to everyone who goes, and a certain amount of training is given. I don't want to get into the details of this case because it is very sensitive.
Role of the Foreign Employment Bureau in Sri Lanka, they do train, but they do train people not on the laws of that country, but on what they should do to look after kids, to be a housemaid, so on and so forth. Isn't it apt for the Foreign Employment Bureau to step in and train individuals about the laws governing those countries?
I think you're right. I think we need to start looking at expanding the scope of this quote-unquote training, and it should include the basic legal framework, legal structure of these countries that they go to.